And it reminds us that, pastoral ministry is about presence. It's about attentiveness, and not just checking whether the Lindens haven't been in church for a couple of weeks, but, being genuinely attentive and listening and present. And at this particular time, I think so, obviously, all the more so. I think it's important that pastors recognise that pastoral care is not just about checking up on attendance or, all things being equal, well, let me know if there's a problem, but rather sitting with a person's sense of trauma or grief or sadness or anxiety, and providing opportunities for that are difficult, particularly in lockdown, but we've just got to get as clever and as creative about that as we are about, getting services live streamed and the like. Genuine listening is incredibly important in mission as much as in pastoral care. What does it mean for us to actively engage and actively listen? And frankly, I think Australians generally suck at it, but that includes Australian Christians. My wife and my youngest daughter are both social workers. You might say they're kind of professional listeners. They have been trained in active listening, and they say, it just breaks their heart that they engage with people just naturally now, like that. But they say, and it's been interesting watching my daughter in her late 20s saying, I'm just figuring out, it never comes back. Like, no one ever really wants to listen to me or to be genuinely attentive to me. And it's really heartbreaking to say, I know, honey, like that's, of all people, you'd think you, who are able to be so genuinely present, would get it bouncing back in some way. But we are generally, I'm talking about our culture broadly, are just so self-focused. And so, my wife says, really, it should be the opposite of talking, should be listening. But for lots of people, the opposite of talking is waiting. Just waiting until you finish talking, and I'm going to say my thing that you triggered in my mind. Honestly, I reckon in terms of discipling people, equipping them to be active listeners, to be good at being attentive, to showing an interest, to having a genuine curiosity in others. These aren't spiritual gifts. These are just practices and skills I think the pastors shouldn't just have. They should have them, but they should also be equipping others in them.